So I would ask that you please circulate it to all your friends and networks, because it is now time for us to engage with as broad an audience as we can manage. So let me switch off the audio and things will go along without any technical hitch from here on in. So everyone's busy, so we'll keep to our half-hour slot as best we can. And as Peter's indicated, there'll be time to address any questions and suggestions at the end of it. So our aim here is to showcase what we're about, what we aim to do, and why. I'm delighted to say that our guest speaker, Joanne Shirley, who is Head of Training and Learning Technologies at Central College Nottingham, which is a recently joined college to Consortium. I'm then going to give a little piece on how it works. Peter, our other guest speaker, is then going to give us an update on the Blended Learning Consortium. And both of these speakers are going to give you some extremely good substance and weight to the vision presented here. I'll finish up with a brief summary of how you can join the LDC, and then we'll take up and address any questions and suggestions that you've made. So my core message throughout this whole thing is the LDC is run by colleges for colleges, and to borrow from three musketeers, all for one and one for all. We can have the next slide then, please, Peter. So a very brief introduction to my smiling self. I've already spoken to quite a few of you and listened with great interest to what you had to say about your profession, your college, and your work. I myself have got a fairly lengthy involvement in further education, going back to the sort of late 1980s. And I've got a real passion for personal learning and development, and I think that can be seen in, for instance, the fact that I did my psychology degree entirely by e-learning, and then went on to do a PhD, which I completed last year as a distance learner, and since then I've been making Gay and Free with Future Learn courses, which are great. The core behind all of that is very much an entrepreneur, consultant, and author. I've been running my own businesses since the late 1980s. So my areas of expertise are relatively broad, but a kind of a core running theme of learning and development. And also I would say that as an academic, I've also had a fair amount of published work and even a book. But enough about me. Let's crack on with the meat of the matter. So we could have the next slide. Thank you. These are our values. They're very simple. They're very clear. This is what we are about. And I do hope you'll join us in it. What we aim to do is to promote excellence in professional learning and development, including CPD, at every level throughout FE in the UK. And to do this, to promote sharing and collaboration throughout FE and throughout working collaboratively and collectively, pulling resources, and through doing so, to do all of that, to do more, achieve more, and deliver more than any single organization could do on their own. Again, the theme is run by colleges for colleges. Now, to provide some evidence to all of this, I'd like to hand over to Joanne Shirley from Central College Nottingham, who's recently joined the consortium and who's got some really exciting news to share with you. So over to you, Jo, please.
Hello, good morning. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Can they?
Yes. Loud and clear,
okay, yeah, thank you. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Jo Shirley. I'm the Head of Staff Development and Learning Technologies at Central College Nottingham. And I too really have a track record and a passion for developing personal learning and development across our college, and more recently been involved in some action-centred research in terms of trying to get from that what type of learning suits online learning students, and I've been able to showcase some of the online learning my team have developed from that. But we've actually got, if you like, tried and tested and used and evaluated online learning resources that deliver really all our mandatory staff induction and our mandatory training. So we've got some resources on, well, online learning modules, interactive, video, sound, on British values, prevent, 3 modules of EDI: copyright, plagiarism, health and safety, data protection, and more recently, probably in the last year, started to develop working collaboratively with our quality team and our teaching and learning coaches, TPD for teaching learning assessment around stretch and challenge, tutorial, assessment for learning. Plus, that's just some of the things, some of the online learning we've got, and we will be able to, we've created those, and we will be able to share those resources. So those resources will be something to start off the consortium, really. They are quality controlled, they're effective and engaging, we have feedback on them, they're very differentiated to suit a variety of learning methods, and they all meet our legislative and mandatory training and staff induction requirements. One of the things we can do is the resources can be shared. They are very customised to Central College, and that is where we've found that they are most engaging, because they tell our story. But we can, as part of the consortium, we will be able to customise those for individual organisational needs. Obviously, we'd have to show up in a degree and nominal fee of customisation, but I think that will be the same as the fees from the Heart of Worcester use. So the last slide, really, just because I was asked to deliver a very short slot, which is what I've done. The last slide just shows, if you can bring that one on, Peter, just some screenshots. But I think the next step will be to look and talk with Leslie about how we can get to show these resources and get some feedback on them, really. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Joanne, and I very much look forward to chatting with you about those at the beginning of August, as we've been talking about. So thanks to Joanne for that. I also can announce that James Hampton from Gloucester College has also emailed me last night to tell me that he is now able to share 3 great courses with the consortium, one on performance management, one on team and self-awareness, and one package on defining the future. I've had a quick look myself, James, and they look really terrific. So those will also be made available to consortium members. So let's take a brief tour now into how the LDC works. We've got 2 core activities. First, to act as a gathering place and a point of reference for further education. So somewhere where members can come and share, take part, collaborate and coordinate as a whole consortium or in select groups. I mean, there's no reason why small groups of member colleges could not come together for one particular purpose and then use the consortium to further that purpose. But it's not just about networking. There are, quite honestly, no limits to where this could lead to. We could even coordinate the voice of further education. Our second activity is to manage and broker the development and use of high-quality learning resources. And by that I mean not just digital, it could be in any format. It is ultimately the members of the consortium who decide what that pooled money gets spent on. With our aim is to spread knowledge and best practice and to act as a one-stop shop for information, even research. So each college will pay £5,000 excluding VAT per year into a communal pot. Now a portion of that is used to fund things like administration, project management, technical and so on. However, the lion's share will be used to fund the resources development and acquisition. And we manage based on a democratic system, so one college gets one vote, and you decide what that money is spent, and you decide what the priorities are. But beyond that, members are also encouraged, as you've seen, to share their resources with other members through the consortium. The whole thing is managed through one central online portal. We're going to kick off with a Moodle, which is being organised by Peter Kilcoyne's team at the Heart of Worcestershire College. But in the background, for some weeks now, I've been negotiating two alternatives with two different organizations. Both of these alternatives are fairly solid and substantial corporate solutions, and both are going to be offered at an extremely low cost. So one of the first things that the consortium members will consider and decide on in August is I will present these two alternatives, and alongside the Moodle, members can then make a decision as to which one they would like to proceed with. Okay, next slide please, Peter. Forgive me, I couldn't resist. There's 3 reasons to be cheerful. 1, 2, 3. Psychology studies would have us believe that listing, or 3-part listing, is one of the most persuasive things that any speaker can do, which is why politicians use it a lot. So I guess we're about to find out. During the market research, and speaking to an awful lot of you, many said that the consortium would need to demonstrate good value for money. Well, of course it has to, because budgets are so tight, and we all know that the learning and development budget is often the first one under the scissors. But actually that's the easy bit with this, because the return on investment can equate to exactly your investment times the number of members. Whatever you put in is multiplied by the number of members that we actually have, and Peter will very shortly show you exactly what that means. So the more members that we have, the stronger our purchasing power. We can get better deals from suppliers, for example. What we have in mind is developing a proactive sharing and collaborative family of colleges, if you like. So all these benefits shown here can be achieved, and I bet you can probably think of some immediate examples from your own working practice where you might well have found membership of the LDC to be beneficial in all sorts of ways. So that's my pitch, and I'd now like to hand over to Peter Cocoyne, who's going to give you an update on the Blended Learning Consortium and a very good example of what I mean by the return on investment. So Peter, over to you.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Okay, I'm going to give you a very quick overview of the Blended Learning Consortium, and mainly because the idea for the Learning and Development Consortium sort of came out of the lessons that we've learned in the first year of this consortium, and how powerful a group of colleges working collaboratively, making democratic decisions and sharing resources with each other can be. So I would envisage there will be a lot of similarities between the way that the two consortiums work, with one major difference: that all of the stuff that we build through the Blended Learning Consortium is digital content, but with the Learning and Development Consortium, we'll be looking at a range of different mediums of content to be decided democratically. So the Blended Learning Consortium works very much the same way as Leslie has outlined for the LDC. So it's led by us, Half of Worcestershire College. There's an annual membership fee of £5,000, and members propose and then vote on content to develop, and then that money is used within the consortium to pay staff in member colleges to write the content and to do the digital development in the case of this. And how much individual colleges get involved in this is very much being optional. Some colleges have got quite heavily involved, others much less so in terms of the writing and development. And in addition to developing content from that pooled funding, colleges are, as well as that, sharing existing content, which is very much what Joe and James at Central Notts and Gloucestershire are offering to do, and Heart of Worcestershire, in addition to that, will be sharing some of our existing professional development resources. So the development process for the Blended Learning Consortium, it begins with voting. Again, that will be the same for the LDC. Once we've chosen what we develop, we then go into a period of consultation where we decide exactly what it is we're going to develop. So, for example, if level 3 engineering is chosen, an engineering lecturer from each college gets involved in an email discussion to identify what topics they want covered by that. So similarly with the learning and development group. Once an area is being developed, I would envisage that the learning and development managers and specialists in particular areas being developed will have a conversation. Do they want an online, a blended, a face-to-face resource? What's it going to look like? How long is it going to be, etc. So that consultation does the specification. Once that's decided, in the Blended Learning Consortium, we then train writers, normally teachers, do the curriculum writing. That then gets edited, goes into e-learning production. Once the e-learning production is completed, it goes through a thorough quality assurance and user testing before being finally released to the member colleges. So the progress to date with the Blended Learning Consortium, and we really hope that we'll see something very similar with the Learning and Development Consortium, is that since starting last August, in fact this slide's gone out of date already. I put this together yesterday, and about 11 o'clock this morning Swindon College joined us, so we're now up to 68 colleges, which is approximately a quarter of all the general further education colleges. There hasn't been a week gone by in the last few months where a college hasn't joined, and that's continuing to happen all the time. We've got 3 rounds of content under development, making over 750 hours, and all of the content we develop, and again this will be the same with the Learning Development Consortium, you get the source files as well, so you can then customise whatever's coming out to your own local needs. And in addition to the content being developed, member colleges are sharing some of their existing good stuff. So that's the map of the UK indicating where these 67, now 68 colleges are all geographically located. So we've got a good spread across the whole UK, including over half of the Welsh, half of the Northern Ireland, and about a quarter of the Scottish colleges. These are the areas under development. I'll just quickly go through these. And in each of these areas we're developing around 30 hours of learning resources. And some screenshots of what the digital content looks like, so you can see it's developed to a very high standard and specification. Now the power of the consortium, we've learned, is huge here. And I talk about buns versus bytes, which is why there's a picture of some buns there. But if I have 10 buns, and there's around 10 of you in this room, and I gave you all a bun, I would have no buns left. But if I have 10 digital resources, and I give you those 10 resources, you've all got 10, I've got 10, and you get a very different kind of economics through digital resources. And so that kind of leverage that's coming out by pooling resources for the Blended Learning Consortium, when it has 67 colleges, and obviously this is higher now, for your £5,000 worth of investment, when that's pooled with all the other colleges, you're getting a leveraged saving of over £330,000 with the 67 colleges. When that's multiplied across all the colleges, that then comes to over £22 million worth of savings across the whole membership. So I hope you can see that this method of working together, of pooling resources, of democratic decision making, provides huge efficiency savings, and also helps develop skills within each individual member colleges, depending on how they get involved with the writing and development. I've got a final joke that I know Leslie particularly wanted me to make. We're coming to the end of the first year of the Blended Learning Consortium. Our second year begins August the 1st. I've sent 2 emails out to all the members over the last few weeks to see that, asking whether anybody is planning to leave. And there are going to be no, wait for it, Brexits, or certainly we've not heard of any so far. So the membership seem very happy to continue. Okay, so passing on to you now, Leslie.
Hi Peter, thanks for that. Who could argue with that? I think what that shows is you don't need government or agency involvement in order to do something fantastic like this. If you're hearing a strange noise coming from the background, I'm going to award a prize to anybody who can guess what it is. I'll give you a clue. It's got something to do with a cat. Joining the LDC is very straightforward. All you need to do is send me an email to leslie@knowing-how.com, providing me with a purchase order number, the names of 3 of your colleagues who will act as contact points. We'll send you a contract in due course, and then you can start sharing straight away by telling me what kind of resources that you might be able to share through the consortium with other members. We might even start a contest with members voting on a month-to-month basis on which resources shared by members are of most use, and then quite simply start taking part. So moving on to the last slide, please. Now's the time which you can ask any questions or make some suggestions. As Peter has indicated, we open the doors on the 1st of August, and as I think you can now see, the shop is going to have stuff on its shelves. Also, that the first 10 people to join, first 10 colleges to join, will automatically be offered a place in the Pathfinder group, which is a group that I've set up to provide the central management for the LDC, to take the first wave of decisions on how it will be shaped and run and operated. Because the mantra of the LDC is run by colleges for colleges. Not a system and not a sector, but a family of professionals who share a passion for learning and development. So that's the end of this presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be very glad to answer them. Okay, I can pick up on that. And Anna's asked how much content is currently on the LDC. When the LDC goes live on the 1st of August with its Moodle portal, it will have content from Gloucestershire, which is 3 presentations based on 3 courses: performance management, team and self-awareness session, and a defining the future package. There'll also be some online learning packages from Worcestershire, which are covering, I believe I'm right in saying, Peter, health and safety and training courses in the development of e-learning. And particularly from Joe from Central College Nottingham. Joe, do you want to give a quick rundown on the stuff that you're going to be making available?
Certainly I can. Yeah, we've got British values, prevent, 3 modules of equality, diversity and inclusion, copyright, plagiarism, a couple of health and safety modules, data protection, and then we've got some stretch and challenge, some tutorial like mini games and assessment for learning. I can also start to look at all our face-to-face delivery and what we've got, because we deliver our own in-house management training, managing self, managing people, managing change and coaching. So we've got those really in PowerPoint formats that could be very easily converted into something online, as we have customer service and employability skills. So we've got quite a lot that we can start to upload there.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Ian has asked a question on whether we have a target for the amount of content produced annually or monthly from the LDC. Hello, Ian. It's nice to see you here. No, we don't, because actually the amount of content produced annually or monthly or acquired or whatever will be directly in proportion to the number of members who contribute towards that shared central fund, and on the decision making of those members, how they decide to spend it. So there is no target. The targets will be driven by the members joining, and I guess to a certain extent by the members. Then the members themselves may decide to set some kind of a target. But I think it's probably in the first sort of few months, year of operations. It's more to do with setting priorities. Rachel Benfield, hi. Will non-members have access to this webinar? I chair a software user group with several.
Yes.
Yes, of course. It's a link to the webinar is going to be put onto our the LDC webpage, and you'll be able to no. So no, the answer to your question is no. You don't have to be a member to access this webinar and its presentations. They'll be publicly available on the webpage. Have you got that address?
Rachel's a colleague of mine, so I'll send her an email with it.
Okay. Any collaboration happening with ETF? Are you talking about the Education and Training Foundation? I guess you are. No, to be honest, I haven't engaged with them at all, not yet, and I don't know if there will be a need to. Perhaps there will. But again, you know, I think these are the kinds of steps forward that ought to be tabled and discussed with the members of the consortium, because it's kind of for them to decide on strategically how we move these kinds of things forward. So I see Peter's handed out the LDC web address. Great stuff. Are there any other questions at this time? You're more than welcome, James. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your very kind offer made yesterday. Well, I guess it only remains for me to thank everybody for making the time to sit in on this, and that I hope that I'll have the opportunity of working with all of you in the near future. Please do feel free to get in touch with me if you have any problems or suggestions, and I'll be glad to speak to you.